Welcome to another lovely edition of SOUQ Business Landscape. We will take a quick short break, and when we return, we'll talk to you immediately. Stay here. Believing in yourself is the first secret to success. Believing in SOUQ News Television as your worthy business partner is a close second. A SOUQ morning to you and yours. Welcome to another edition of SOUQ Business Landscape. It's SOUQ News Television as usual. And quickly, before I go any further, I want to let you know that my guest extraordinaire is in the house. None other than the one, the only, Dr. Osamhanze is in the house.
Good Nigeria, SOUQ. You are there, great Nigeria.
Thank you so much, Doc. It's always enlightening to have you, we can't wait to hear you and shed that flashlight on all these topics that sometimes just want to cage us in.
Yeah, mine.
Yes, you are.
Send me.
All right, Doc has his cup of coffee already, but we will take another short break, which is just a few seconds, and go get ours and rush one and be back, so we'll all be aflame for the business landscape. Stay here. Welcome right back. We jump right in. Of course, the first publication. We have Business Day Nigeria for you. What we're doing today, usually we start from home. There's no place like home. If you agree with me, say, put your hands in the air and say, ooh, 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 ooh. Doc is in the spirits. All right, Business Day, we must appeal that please do us a favor and please come out early, right? Along with other people so that we can take the time to really break it down and do this as early and as on point as we should. Business Day, Nigeria. Nigeria's economy riding on 3 deflated tires. This is such, Doc, I would call this an insult coming from World Bank.
Oh, I don't think it's an insult. It's just
Do you know why I say
stating the obvious.
3 tires alone is bad. Good tires, like a car, 3 tires is bad.
You
But
know,
3 deflated ones.
Yeah, I saw a skit, whether it was a skit or something.
It was real.
Real, I don't know. And it is this guy was showing, and he said, oh, there's nothing that will not happen in Lagos. And I was seeing this vehicle who had 3 tires, and the wheel was completely off, and it was running on the express. I said, that's what that can happen here. But I think it's stating the obvious, and the things that are known to me and to you. What World Bank seems to be saying is that you look at your environment, there are a lot of things that you have to put into account. And I think that is why the Oxford School of Economics had advocated that it is not just enough to measure the growth of your GDP, your growth of a nation or a state by just GDP, because GDP doesn't translate into how people live. Now, there are other aspects that we need to get right. And I think what the World Bank is saying is like a parable to say that Nigerian monetary policy is fine at the moment, and it seems to be the only one working. Its counterpart, which is the fiscal policy, is not working. Investment, which is another tire, is not flowing in as it should be.
Another tire.
And then there's a whole lot of social upheaval in society.
So true.
Now, how do I really tell whether a nation is making progress? We're seeing that Poverty had reduced to a very drastic extent because if your fiscal policies are not working, you cannot create the right jobs that is needed to create the social stabilization force. Because it's when people are working, you know, this old parable or how do they call it now? That you say the devil's workshop is where?
Yeah, I do mind.
And I don't mind. So when people are idle and they don't have work to do, of course, what do you get? You see people taken to crime for survival. And that's why you find that there's so much social tension in our environment. People using their parents for ritual, using all manners of things.
Oh, did you see that video? The young man that buried his mother alive?
Oh yeah, these are the social vices that you see. You see, the whole of society is littered by able-bodied men who are not working, and then they have all turned into touts in the motor park. And of course, this is creating a whole lot of social dislocation that does not make the society look sane
anymore.
And of course, in the midst of the biting hunger, people are telling all manners of narrative how to survive. So these are the challenge that faces the government. And this is why one of the factors is there's no way we can win without playing together.
That's right.
Usually when I talk to young people who were not present to watch USA 94, which would have been one of the best opportunity for Nigeria to have won the World Cup.
Why do you think so?
Because that was the best of thing Nigeria never had put together. Since the history of football, we have never had that team anymore. Because every department of that team was fit for that match. And you remember that favorite match against Greece, it was so electrifying that at a very early stage in that match, Rashidi Yekini hit the target.
Oh, I can't forget that celebration.
And then he ran into the net, held it, and was shaking the net.
And praying.
And then by the time he came out of the net, the temple of the man changed. You see, because football goal is not scored by one man. And that's why you see, when a player scores a goal, he runs toward his teammate and they celebrate together. Because it's a collective effort.
Yes, it is.
That's the problem in Nigeria. Everybody wants to score a goal.
By themselves.
See, that was what happened. Immediately that happened, Amunike was struggling to score a goal. Ipepa was struggling. Everybody was struggling to get a goal. So even Stephen Keshi could no longer hold the center. Because he too wanted to score a goal to prove a point. And so rather than feed Yekini with the ball, everybody were trying to feed themselves. And then we crashed out at group stage. So I think it's a lesson that we all need to learn, that there is nothing like teamwork. That everybody contribute their quota, and that really what make for success. So this is a problem here in Nigeria economy. Those who are managing the fiscal aspect are not in tandem with those managing the monetary side. So this is creating a whole lot of destabilization. And I think this is one thing that we need to look at. And I think that's what the World Bank is saying, that if the economy must run smoothly, the fourth tire must be fleeted.
And it should be complete for.
Oh, yes, it should be complete for.
Such a sad thing.
Yeah.
Such a sad
So we need some social intervention. Yes. We need more investment in the environment. And then, of course, we need a fiscal policy that will generate the right jobs with the right pay. And, of course, we'll see a society that's functional. And I think that's very important. Especially the fiscal and the monetary policy, they must be targeting the same place. So I'm really looking to Adedeji's reform, as he spoke at the National Assembly, when the tax law come into effect, to see how we can reduce the drag from the fiscal side in terms of removing multiple taxations and even the indirect taxes that, of course, not even go into the coffers of government, because that needs to be addressed.
Perhaps World Bank is prepping for us to come for another loan with such, such a headline.
I'm not sure that they will even give you
Deflated tires, come, let's help you.
No. They won't even give you loan, because at the moment, you have to prove that you are able to pay back. Because loan is not...
Have we gotten to that point, though?
Oh, you see, these are the issues that are not told in the public space.
That's dangerous.
Except that the president came to tell us recently that at least in the last 1 year, they have been able to scale down from using 60 to 68% of our totally generated revenue for loan service. Before they came, it was 98%. So which means what was left in all the revenue accruable to the federal government was just 2%.
Can't run the economy.
So that's why, of course, we saw more of borrowing. And as we speak, government is still borrowing, raising treasury bills, selling bonds, because you have to do this to mop up money to be able to pay salaries and even see how to maintain the infrastructure that are all dilapidated. This is a challenge that faces the nation. And that's why really we need to sit down to see why is the business environment not friendly? What is not making people bringing money into the economy? And then we sit around table, address these issues. Then, of course, structure our monetary policy and fiscal policy to create the enabling environment for investment to happen.
Amazing. Great stuff. Power, emotions, threats to $70 trillion global family business growth. So it says 70% of wealth creation down by family businesses. This is coming from PwC, and they're talking global across board. And how much does this affect the economy of nations when we're talking about family business now, not private, not public enterprises?
Well, it's a fundamental factor, especially when a lot of things aren't done well. You see, it affects the fortunes of the business.
Right.
Where you see a struggle between husband and wife, or the parents are gone, it's a struggle for power between children. It stalls the business.
That's true, though.
So I think that's what, it's a natural outcome. Somebody was saying on Sunday, there's a family here in Nigeria whose grandchildren has inherited their inheritance case.
Case in court?
Yes.
Grandchildren?
Grandchildren.
No, but why do court cases last this long? Especially when, we know the right thing. Many times we know what the issue is.
Nigerian lawyers are very clever. They really never enter into substantive case. All they do, you spend time to tell you, this exhibit is not right. And then we take 10 years to talk about the one exhibit.
When there's 10 or 15.
Yes, and then, of course, people go around from court to court shopping for injunctions, perpetual injunctions here and there. And then that's all the processes. If you had read a report about 2 days ago, the new CJN was lamenting, and he said to the church, you've not done well. In 1 year, you have not delivered one judgment. How will she deliver judgment when the lawyer will not allow her Except that there are provisions of the law that says that there are some societies that the court should not entertain, which of course we have to factor into the law. So really the problem is most time, and this is part of also the ecosystem for what they call the ease of doing business. And that's why when many people get into business, even those who are invested in Nigeria, they don't even want arbitration done in Nigeria. They want it done elsewhere.
Because it's dry.
Because they are afraid that they will not be able to get justice here. So I think this is where we need to sit down. Whether it's the judiciary, the legislature, and the executive, to really sit down that if we want to make progress as a people, we must be able to sit down around table to say, yes, this is how we want justice dispensed. Otherwise, it will be forever. And I think it was Rwanda who did very well during their post-genocide reconciliation. So they didn't resort to civil courts or criminal courts to address those issues. They resorted back to their traditional dispute resolution mechanism, which was in a market square. Everybody sit down, the issues are resolved. Wow. You know, there was one celebrated case there. Sorry, this is taking us into judiciary. We're supposed to be talking about the cut down family issues.
It sheds more light, actually.
You see, the guy, a story is told of a certain woman who lost her children and her husband.
The genocide?
In the genocide. And in that town hall meeting, and he said, look, it was my neighbor who killed my husband, killed my son. What are we going to do? And he said, well, I don't have a husband. I don't have a son anymore to take care of me. He killed them, so he will become my husband and my son.
Don't you're joking.
It's not a joke. It's a true life story. And today they are living together. Yeah. Reconciliation. So the dispensing of justice became very, very quick. It was like something instant. Because once you come in with lawyers, they can argue a case forever. So this is a problem, and this is why, you see, and once this happened, see brother take a brother to court, what happened to the business? If they put injunction on the business will be dying.
Even if they don't put injunction in, many times the businesses actually don't go further.
Yeah. So I think that's what it is. And you see a lot of family businesses are suffering globally, and I think it's not just it's not just Nigeria, it's everywhere in the world, that where you have those emotions come into play, it will slow down a lot of things.
Economy goes into a drab. All right, we move on to Business Daily in Kenya. JPMorgan Snubs Kenya Billionaires in Africa Plan. JPMorgan Snubs Kenya Billionaires in Africa Plan. So they're talking about wealth management and for focus on, they actually plan to focus on South Africa and Nigeria. And now the Kenyans are upset that the billionaires are being snubbed. Doc.
Please, JPMorgan, bring money to Nigeria, the giant of Africa.
They're already doing that.
No,
we want to talk about Kenya. Kenya is upset.
We need more of it. But I think it's a fact that when you look at B2B across national boundaries, nobody is willing to do something with you except that your state is doing excellently well. You see, because if anything go wrong, it's the state that will be liable to some degree. So if I am traveling from here to Cotonou to go and do business, I am going like an ambassador of Nigeria.
Right.
So if something goes wrong, I can only rely on the treaty between our nations. Because I don't have a right in your country to do anything. I can't sue you, I can't do anything. So the only person that can be of help here is the state. So that interaction across border is like a business to government relation.
I see.
So once your state is not stable, it's difficult for an international partner to want to do business in that environment.
It's not good enough that you are capable.
So they see the stability in the state, and this affects the rating and the perception of global business of that environment. And you know that it has not been an easy time for Ruto with the forces of destabilization
it's been
in Kenya.
horrible.
So this is the thing that he is trying to grapple with. And I think that's why you find JP not wanting to do business in that environment at the moment. But I think it's momentary. Just put your hearts together, which of course is one thing we continue to tell African leaders. Deal with the issue, take emotion away from all the problem and challenges. And then, of course, we will have a robust economy. Right. And we don't even need, you see, this where, when in Nigeria, we didn't need passport to go to America or to go to England. Days where, when IMF, World Bank, were coming to beg us to give us loan. And we said, we didn't need loan. We have enough money. Don't need loan. They were begging us. You need loan. Come and take. We will remove all barriers for you. Why? Because we had petrodollar.
We still do.
Not anymore. Not anymore. So that is what it is. So when a nation does well, you don't need to beg an external investor to come.
They show up.
When they are finding difficulty entering your environment, just know you are not doing well. You don't need any other prophet to say it. Because they say where the carcass is, there the vultures gather.
Right. No carcass here. We're talking petrodollars to return. Still on Business Daily Kenya. Kenya eyes 113 billion shillings mega IMF loan disbursements. Again. Now, all these loans, right, Doc, because I remember past editions, these loans have flowed seamlessly like a stream into Kenya. Asia, we'll get to Asia in a port because same with Bangladesh, but mega loan disbursements. And they were just talking about how the economy is not doing very well. This is not something that would hang using our parlance here.
Well, I don't think, this is predictable anyway. And I think you remember the ill-fated finance bill that created the tension in Kenya is still what we're talking about. And you remember when, of course, that protest started and Ruto was going to backtrack, he told the Kenyans that they needed 2 trillion shillings to fund their budget if they don't allow the finance bill. Because there's only two ways out. It's either we allow the finance bill to stay, or we continue to borrow as we have been doing and mortgage the future of our children. And by all indication, it seems Kenyans prefer borrowing
money to go around
than tightening the belt, which of course was what the Finance Act was meant to do. Because they say, oh, you are going to take more money from us. And the only way to deal with those issues is to keep borrowing. And I think that's also a lesson for most African countries, especially the politically inclined people in Africa who always mislead the people by pointing holes on some of the economic policies of nations. They tell you, oh, why, for example, here we're talking, oh, why should petrol not have subsidy? Other countries in the world, they are having subsidy. Yes, so they are having subsidy. But those have built their economy. They have fat reserve. We don't have reserve. We have not built our economy. You see, there are two things we must put to, or bring to the table here. Is that yes, we're going to do this. Let us also get a compact from government officials that this money will not be frittered away.
That's the difficult part, Doc.
Yes, we can enter into that covenant with government. And when we see frivolity,
The checks from.
I just came from the conference on budget, national budget monitoring and evaluation. And one of the issues that came up in the midst of that conference was the fact that when you look at our budgets, the law really made provisions for monitoring and evaluation. First, by the MDAs, then by the Ministry of Budgets and Economic Planning, then National Assembly.
All these parties play a role.
And then CSO, civil society organizations. So when budgets are failing, which means the civil society organizations are not doing their job, which means National Assembly not doing their job.
Everybody down that line.
Yeah, the MDAs are not doing their job. So which means people fail across board. So the only way to find success really is to see a detribalized civil society organization who are not politically aligned to hold government accountable, so that for every one kobo that is spent, government must be able to justify it in terms of prudence, in terms of optimization.
Accountability.
So we're not just going to say, okay, we are spending this money, but we are saying that this money, we spent it wisely for projects that benefit states, and everybody can see it across board. But unfortunately in Africa, this seems to be missing. And so we cannot enter into covenant with our governments to tell them, okay, we don't want to borrow more money because really borrowing is not good. It will make the economy grind to a halt. It creates internal disorder.
Yes, it does.
So we don't want that to happen. So what we want to happen is to see a situation where we are able to reach an agreement as a government. You say you are taking away subsidy. We want to see every drop of the kobo that comes in and how this money is spent for the good of all. Now, once that accountability platform is established, I think Africa can get out of its trouble immediately.
Yeah, you've always said it in your lifetime, right?
In my lifetime, yeah.
That's a key formula. Still on Business Daily in Kenya, but Ruto seems to have a good heart. Why is it so tough for him? Why are the people and the organizations giving him such a hard time? That's why I use the word sin.
Well, just yesterday I was interacting with our CEO, and we're talking as we were coming from the function, and he said to me, really, but tell me, what is wrong with us? I say everything.
It's not an expected answer.
Everything is wrong with us. We want good government, we don't want to pay the price. That's a problem. We want omelette, we don't want to break an egg.
Will it fall from the sky?
That is the issue. So this is a problem, and this is a situation where we find ourselves. We are not sincere. We are not honest people.
Because the question stemmed from if you holistically look at the finance bill, you could tell it's a good.
Yeah, because it was a good intention.
But from the onset, it was frustrated.
Yeah, of course. You can see the political undertones, and that happened. And that happened everywhere.
It's unending, seemingly, because it's been how long now since it came?
Yeah.
It's unending.
Yeah, and you would not be surprised that some of these pressure that face that finance act can actually be sponsored from overseas.
Oh Lord, that is usually a fight that we don't seem to be able to win.
Yeah,
sad. Still, Business Daily Kenya, KCB-EIB in 32 billion shilling deals for SMEs. This is huge. So the European Investment Bank and the global Kenyan bank that announced this amount, 32 billion shillings, solely basically to support SMEs. Doc, this is fantastic.
yeah.
But the thing is, when this happens, especially I think recently in Nigeria, we're talking about applying for loans and grants in the Ministry of Youth Development and stuff. But the question is, how do you know who gets what? How do these things get to these people? How do you choose? How are you sure it's not politically inclining for some, and others don't even hear about it? There's no noise made. This is what is out here for also. Come in and let's see you.
Yeah, but I think, except like what they're trying to do in Nigeria really right now by the tax reform bill, which is before the National Assembly, we hope it comes back well and whole.
Successful.
Because in the past we have seen bills go to the National Assembly, and by the time it's coming back, it's either amputated.
It's not recognized. It's not recognizable.
Or completely defamed or deformed. So we pray that this come out whole, so that the intention are met. Because when you meet the members of the National Assembly, one thing they always tell you and say, we are representing our constituent. And that representation of the constituent really do not make things that are functional work. It become like a clog. And so they try to do so many things to carry the interest. Because like somebody said, politicians only are concerned about the next elections. And they are never concerned about the next generation. You see, for me, in Kenya here, and by implication, all African country, one of the things that we must understand is that throwing money at problem had never solved it anywhere in the world.
Even as individuals ourselves.
Let me give you an example, for example. With the spiraling inflation, instability in exchange rate, whatever capital you get to invest in your business, after 6 months, it's wiped out.
In what sense? Wiped out, in what sense?
Oh, yeah. You have received money and you have bought goods. So the goods is getting into your naira or shilling value. And as your currency continues to depreciate, what happened?
Oh, I see.
The money depreciates. You can't even go back to the market.
To restock.
To restock.
Talk more of profits.
This is what it is. Because the value of your foreign currency get higher and your own go down and deeper. You have nothing to sell. So the economy is hard. People cannot afford it. So you can't make a fortune. So this is where we talked about earlier on, the 3 deflated tires. Africa must reflate those 4 tires
3.
so that we can have a balance.
1 is not there, Doc.
Yes, of course. It could even be that
Buy.
it could even be that it's losing air already. So we must find a way to inflate those tires so that we can create the necessary balance for business to happen.
Doc, we need the blueprint that will be
Yeah, it can be
followed
done.
holistically.
It can be done. It's just the fact that we need more sincere people.
Are not willing. Yes.
Yeah. People who come with integrity and then they are able to say things the way they are without necessarily having to take side. So we will be able to find things really work. And I think that's possible. That's possible. Once we can take away the politics of patronage, what Richard Joseph called prebender politics, a lot in Africa can happen.
Sounds interesting. You want to shed light on prebender?
Not in this show because it's almost time up.
All right, so I usually like to look at intelligence on the front page, middle front page. Expect, quote unquote, expect greedy elites to start hurriedly buying land situated along transmission line corridors on the Adani deal. We talked about the Adani deal on Wednesday, and this also throws more light. Catch it on page 3. More of that on page 3. We'll take a few headlines from Business Day in South Africa. New era for JSE in the biggest shake-up. New era for JSE in the biggest shake-up. Doc, I don't know if you have anything to say about this. We have Ramaphosa rebuffs Falafala questions. Mathematical hooliganism, Minister, you mean NHI. All this is from the health sector in South Africa. Specialists in courts action against NHI, still on NHI, and are throwing numbers around. Clearinghouse defers Bell's Act disputes. Clearinghouse defers Bell Act disputes. And Doc, we must go.
We have done our bit.
Thank you so much for being here, Doc. And thank you too for listening to us this lovely Friday. And for those that are TGFI in, have a lovely weekend. And we'll let you know that at 8 o'clock, join us for another exciting edition of Early Exchange. My name is Hans Mbah. See you next week.